Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, we feel blessed, honored and very fortunate to have with us a very special devotee with us who is His Holiness Kavi Chandra Swami Maharaj. Kavi Chandra Swami Maharaj is a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada who is serving Iskcon for more than 55 years. Maharaj met Iskcon devotees in 1970 and received initiation from Srila Prabhupada in 1971. Maharaj has served in different capacities in Iskcon. As a book distributor, he was leading a very famous book distribution party known as Radha Damodar Party. Maharaj has also served as temple president in Japan. Maharaj is known for his keen interest for book distribution and Harinam. Maharaj served as a general manager in Juhu temple, that is Sri Sri Radha Ras Bihari, Mumbai, Iskcon. Maharaj is a very close god brother of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj served as GBC and Maharaj is currently preaching all over the world, especially in countries like Japan, Indonesia, Greece, West Africa, etc. So today we feel humbled to have His Holiness Kavi Chandra Swami Maharaj with us, and we would like to know some pastimes of Maharaj with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So we once again welcome Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much Maharaj for your valuable time.
Yeah, well, it's the best use of time is to glorify the Lord. That's the best use of time. Especially Gopal Krishna Goswami, who is so wonderful actually. I heard someone else saying Gavi Shakti, I think she's the most saintly devotee she's ever met. She never including Prabhupada. So I first met Gopal Krishna Maharaj not after Prabhupada disappeared, shortly after. I came to Bombay, Juhu, right after Prakrimas festival in Faridabad. And that was with Krishna Goswami. So at that time Gopal Krishna Maharaj was there. And for reasons I don't know for sure, he was mainly working with the BBT. And I didn't really have close association at that time because he was gone all day downtown. And I would see his prasadam waiting and he'd get back really late. He was so dedicated, that's what I noticed. And very humble, never asked, he was still wearing white and never asking for anything and no special treatment, completely on his own. But, trying to get Prabhupada's books published and distributed, which at that time in India, there wasn't book distribution. He tells now, I hear how he had made arrangements to get Prabhupada's books displayed in a big bookshop, but they didn't sell. And Prabhupada said, our books sell out of enthusiasm. So then I was made the manager of the temple. So you can't imagine what that was like. Many of the interpersonal relationships, at the time I didn't really realize people like Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Giriraj Swami, Tamal Krishna Swami, who had so much association with Prabhupada and personal guidance, like almost everything they did. I never had that, so I didn't have any idea what they were going through. And it was very chaotic. The temple was still, many permits didn't have, and Giriraj Swami, I was going with him trying to get to his permits, and they just ran us all over town every day. No, it must be over there every day, no matter where we're going. So, and Gopal Krishna Maharaj was just, doing the BBT work. Then, like all the little shops across the street, the temple had huge debts. I had to go to all those shops and tell them don't give any more credit. Because all the devotees would just go over and buy them, just whatever they were buying, I don't know, until we paid off the debts. There was so many things. The temple was just getting started. The restaurant, Tejas Prabhu was there also, and he'd had so much association with trying to run the restaurant. There was a lot of conflicts between many things. There was actually outside tantric kind of attacks going on. And not very many people coming to the temple at that time. You know, evening arti, not very much. Chandra and cinema had much bigger lines. Then I was sent somewhere else, and then Gopal Krishna Maharaj was made again GBC of that temple. But he had done so much, and when you read Swami's book, he was the one that actually finally made the relationships to get one of the major permits that had been difficult for him to connect with some kind of minister or something. That was always his expertise right up to the end. He connected with all these ministers and people, and that way he got so many things done. And things that no foreigner could get done anymore. That was a special power. And then the BBT grew and grew, and he was a major force in book distribution in India and Russia. Both of them came up late as far as getting started in book distribution. But he was, the main push behind it. Others could help. So the Indian BBT has become so good. So after that, I got in the GBC, that was 1987. He was already there. So I would be in the meetings. He didn't push himself around in the meetings, but he always no problem. A lot of times we thought, why can't he see the problems? But he just had faith in Krishna. We understood that as time went on. And then later, if you want to jump ahead, some thought there was a huge rift between the Western and India. And he always was no, everything's all right. And it turned out, but he was very powerful about keeping the peace, and understanding that Krishna's in control. But otherwise, he was always very friendly to me for some reason. Maybe because I really respected him, and I didn't think that sounds weird, but for a lot of Americans, it's very hard to understand Indians. Somehow, because I worked in Japan, I was a little bit conditioned, because Japan is even more difficult. So I could understand a little bit. And so one day, during the GBC meetings, he was GBC of West Africa. And for various reasons, he didn't want to go there. There was also, the whole thing after Prabhupada's disappearance, so many adjustments were being made all the time. It was very experimental. And Africa can be very volatile, and so he was a little cautious. So one day, we were just washing after prasadam or something. That was in the Lotus building. And he just said, "You can go to West Africa, right?" And I said, "Well, So we went in the GBC meeting, and very quickly he just said, "Kavi wants to go to West Africa." So everybody said, "Fine, get rid of him." So that's how I got into West Africa. And one thing was I was close with Bhakti Swami, so that was pretty good. And that's how I got there. He hadn't been there very much. It had just been for a short time that he had that title. In the GBC meeting, he wasn't one of the big talkers. But when he did, he would more or less solve problems.
Maharaj, if you would like to share some loving
Yeah, well, that was one of them.
and exchanges.
But he was very enthusiastic for Prakrima, Mayapur and Vrindavan. And he loved to come out on Prakrima. So we had a lot of different exchanges. He loved it walking, and he wouldn't spend the night out because he had a lot of other stuff going on in the evening. He would always be on the bus early in the morning and walk the whole time. And he loved to, tell the leaders. And some of them we would have a conflict because we both wanted to tell the same thing. I would usually let him take it. Especially like the one about the king. No, the king that fought with Bhima. No, Bengali king. One of the famous places there. Sire. Anyway, and he especially liked the one about Murari Chaitanya at that place. So we'd always have to let him speak. And Vrindavan, he also, he was always there, walking. And sometimes he didn't, sometimes I rode with him a lot in the car, going to like Rath Yatra, to Rath Yatra, and Kurukshetra. He was always asking me to come with him, and he's very loving, and everybody remembers that. If you visited him, he was always worried that they'd take care of you, if you have a room, if they gave you good prasada, he was very concerned, always telling everybody to take good care. That wasn't like, especially me or anybody, but it's just his nature. He was very, loving, very concerned about everybody, and very concerned about Prabhupada's movement. And let's see what he accomplished. How much book publication in India. Now other devotees they buy from India because they've got such high standards and so many temples. And he was saying how in Delhi, they're getting all these temples donated, and it's very hard to find managers. But somehow or other, he did it all. Locally, he didn't like go looking all over the world to find somebody. I was really impressed that I went around all these temples and so many young brahmacharis, young devotees managing everything. He empowered people, trusted. And he had, he wasn't like a big rah-rah fundraiser, but he could inspire people to give so much donation, but just by his association. I never saw that in action, but how he did it in very difficult times, like I said, in the early days in Juhu. Now I understand that everybody was so much bewildered without Prabhupada, because all of them that were there were all big leaders, and they'd all been with Prabhupada so much, and everything they did, they could, Prabhupada was telling them, do like this, do like that, go to this, go to that. All of a sudden they're completely on their own. And then the different conflicts that happened between people, Prabhupada wasn't there to offer, work it out. So that was a very difficult time for everybody, especially for him at that time. But then he came back, different things happened. I wasn't there then in Bombay after that for a few years. I was there again before I went to Japan. And I don't remember much association with him. He might have been traveling a lot. But everybody knows he always did Mangal Arati. Wherever he was. And one time he told me, well, it's like apologetic. He said, well, sometimes if I get in like 2 in the morning, I can do, like on the Prakrimas, sometimes they say, I'm sorry, I have to wish you for his hurting or something. But he was very like a child in many ways, in his sweetness. Like the power that he had is so powerful, influencing so many people to surrender their life, but also to, surrender whatever they had, if it's money or political influence or whatever. But he didn't exhibit any domineering personality at all. He was just completely nice. But he was so much lover of Srila Prabhupada. So, when many go to Russia, and that was another thing. I witnessed, if you want to hear about a difficult time.
Yes, Maharaj, we wanted to know that as you have seen Iskcon since last 55 years, so there might have been very difficult times.
Yeah, well,
so any memories how Guru Maharaj dealt with that and his humility, tolerance?
Well, like Russia, for instance. Because he was one of the first to go to Russia, because Indians could go. No problem. And the Americans, somehow Prabhupada's servants got visas, I mentioned this morning. It was just like total arrangement of the gods. But he could go, so he went, they did this big book fair, sold introduced Prabhupada's books to so many people. And I don't know how many other times he went. But then when he went to actually preach, when they had some devotees there, there were Russians that were very fanatically dedicated to their guru. And they really worked hard. I didn't witness, I just witnessed the people that were trying to deal with it. And they tried so hard to get him out from Russia, and they made up, really crazy. But he didn't care. He just kept preaching, and now he's like so much loved in Russia. And he's the one that got, but they were doing book distribution already, but he really inspired. Once he got, full charge there, the book distribution came back, and then it was more legal. Russian book distribution just suddenly was the biggest in the world, and India. India, previously, they were telling Prabhupada it's impossible to distribute books in India. All the devotees in India. We have, by the way, we have it in our house. I have my own book, you should publish it. That was a big goal. But, devotees just kept trying and kept encouraging everybody. He was so determined on that. Somebody was saying that before. Somebody planned some kind of meeting, Indian leaders meeting during December. He said, no. I go to Delhi and I stay there for the whole month. And you can't have a meeting during December. So, but then Vrindavan was maybe the most difficult, because we had outside, Gundas, you had the government, other mats, and you had, Western devotees completely bewildered. And he went in there and, undisturbed. Just, everything's all right, just keep going. And now it's, at one point in they had something like 60 lawsuits. 60 lawsuits in the temple and some other, whoever they were, either contractors or government or different devotees who had rooms and wouldn't leave, all, And he dealt with all that. Cool head. Many others came and went. You see the list of how many temple presidents there were in history. But he stayed through it all. Kept, that may have been the most difficult. I remember Russia. That was also, for him it must have been very difficult. But he didn't care. He was just trying to serve Prabhupada. But personally, I met him, like I said, in the Parikram all the time. He's just completely happy, completely jolly. Never demanding anything. He never had like cooks with him, any special treatment. When he had the first heart problem, somehow I was with him a lot. I don't know how it happened. During the construction of Delhi. Yeah, so first he went for Ayurveda. I think he might have had the angioplasty or something. And then he went for Ayurveda. And they were giving him so much ghee. And he said, all his doctor disciples, you can't eat so much ghee. But actually ghee is very good. The propaganda was different. And then he was so careful about eating and taking that walk every morning and take care. And he told me one time, I can't remember, he said, I told him they can only spend like so many rupees for my lunch, and it was like nothing. Because he was so careful for the heart. And then, the doctor, young disciples, they were pushing him, I think, you have to do the open heart, you have to do this. And he didn't really want to. And he was asking, finally got down to like 2 doctors if he was going to do it. One in Bombay, one in Delhi. Both of them were the top 2 guys. And do like 6 a day. And the doctor said, wait and see, the big doctors. The small doctors said, you gotta do it. So he finally decided I have to do it. He went and the doctor said, no, you don't need it. The big surgeon said, so then he recovered and just kept traveling so much around India. Almost every time you see me, just waiting for something. I'm just coming and just going. But he'd always be doing one more. And as time went on, like sometimes he was leaning against the wall, he would stand up. But he had this idea that if you did Mangalartik every day, everything would go. Great determination. And I was competing, I wanted to do also Panchatattva in my life. And he was really too. So sometimes I got there before him. And he'd come and he'd just beg me. Said, you can do Radhamani. I said, no, you can do Radhamani. I said, no, I'm scared of Radhamani. You do it. I said, well, why me? But he was there every day. So I would do the Srimati later because he didn't come. But those were loving exchanges. He was very friendly. He was never played, the superior game. Never called rank, like I am so and so. He was very, very kind. I always wanted to give gifts if you can do so. Telling you that you take care of it, you get a room, you get food, and he was very dedicated for preaching. My disciple in Vrindavan, Sri Govinath, he's a Gornatai Pujari, African. And he somehow empowered to preach in universities And he started out, he just goes out, like, walks into some university, meets somebody who owns this thing, and he's got so many friends. But Gopal Krishna Maharaj told the management there, whatever he needs, you give him. He wants a car, give it, don't question anything. And he was very, very good with it. His room was very, very simple. In Juhu, we had a room 101 or something, a very small room. And he slept on, I think everywhere, he slept on the floor. Just put in one small mattress. He didn't have any. In Vrindavan, they had 2 rooms. One for the assistants and one for him. But the one for him, the main thing was his altar. Because his puja was also amazing. I watched him just to see all those deities. He had so much, love. After doing the Mangalarti and chanting japa, and he always took that walk and chanted japa. That was his medical thing. And his deities had so many shalagrams, small shalagrams, or time, I can't remember. And he always had a really nice altar in his room, but for himself, very little. And then in his will, the only thing he had was deities. Although, he had control over unlimited money for Maharajs and people. But he had nothing in his name. It all depended on his preaching. If he didn't preach, he wouldn't have anything. He had if he decided, okay, I'll shut up with this, he would have had to leave with nothing. Of course, we would never do that. He was very renounced, and he had nothing in his name. He had his Rolex watch. And Prabhupada was so renounced about watches, he had so many watches. Maharaj told me, he came in and Prabhupada was like, 4 or 5 watches in the counter. Prabhupada just take one. And he didn't know what a Rolex was. Just someone took that one. Which was a good choice because they last. They still work. That was the only things he had. The deities and his watch. The watch he considered his because probably he left it with somebody. But he treated everybody equally and could preach anywhere and everywhere. So, every place was very difficult. I remember watching him as he was trying to develop Parthasardi's temple. So the first thing was to get the land from the government, huge part. Then to get the plan that would fit the government's requirements. And you got that architect, the top architect in India, practically make a free plan. And it's very difficult, how much space can be temple, how much can be this. And of course, we see how wonderful it is. And then getting permission to build. I don't know, you try to do anything in India. It all meant like charming people.
Yes.
Not bribes. You had to really impress people as a saintly person. And he did that. So he got the permission, and for years they were just, every time I went there, they were just chipping and hammering away and blowing up something and hammering away. Because it's just all stone. And to get level, and finally they built it. Well, they had the temporary temple. It was a pretty big room, but hardly anybody ever came. Just some ladies from around the neighborhood. But as soon as that one opened, it was every night. So then he had to convince, somebody to give that huge parking lot in the back. The government made it to avoid traffic. The temple attracted so much traffic. And the whole thing with the museum and all that, that was, he was focused. If you really want to know what it's focused. Always thinking about it, always meeting with people. Now I see them rebuilding. The government is doing it. What is it, the Ministry of Culture or something? They're rebuilding that whole museum. Because they're so impressed with the whole thing. And that attracted, you can see how many Muslims are coming. It was hard even for me when I first heard about it. But he made it happen. But he never, was always completely humble about everything.
As you discussed about temples.
Huh?
As you discussed about temples, so any memories from you also visit in the temple openings of so many temples.
So I was at that temple opening.
Is other temples opening like we had here also at Shri Radha Govindam?
No.
And others.
I was only there in
Vahat in Gurgaon temple openings. Any memories of that?
No, I was never, only that we arranged for whoever was the Prime Minister at the time to speak when we opened the Vahat project. So that was quite a big event. But he charmed us, that's why he's the one that got these Prime Ministers to glorify Iskcon and the Bhagavad Gita. Because he somehow could meet with them. And he had good assistants like Maharajs. Cutting through the their teachings. No, I was not at any other temple. I wasn't even a Juhu. I came after Juhu, right after, a few months after.
Any funny pastimes of Maharaj which you, as young people, as young girls?
No, just, because, like I said, it wasn't until maybe in the 90s that I was with him. That's when that Prakrimas started, not a big Prakrimas. I don't know if he was there. I was there for the first one and the first Vrindavan Prakrimas. I don't know if he was there. But most of the time that I can remember, he was always every day. He really loved it. He's very simple way. He didn't come so he said anything. He just liked to walk around and relish the whole thing and discuss the pastimes. And then he would go back in the afternoon because he was busy managing all these things at the same time. But on the Prakrimas, we forgot everything. Totally exhausted. He was very friendly with everybody. So that's it. I just remember how much he liked to talk about any pastime, but he never wanted to hog the show. But there was a few that he especially liked. And it was very hard to tell him about it. But to see how he inspired, he was very encouraging and helping and everything. And so many Buddhist scriptures, so many. And all these temples. Delhi was not an easy place either. Tejas was here. It was very hard. Many donations. Gradually, just by Gopal Krishna, something changed. Right now it's so incredible. So many devotees are serious. Taking up, managing all these temples. It's so much bigger than meets the eye. It's not just 18 temples. It's thousands of satellites and bhakti vrikshas and extensions. And I got a long list of names and everything. Right? You get the temple and the extension and satellite and bhakti vrikshas and the satellites and bhakti vrikshas. And he was on top of all that. And keeping up with Holiness. And East Africa also very highly developed. East Africa is another world for Muslims. West Africa is all Africa. And that's why it was difficult. Amongst the Africans, it was not for also due to the Prabhupada all of a sudden not being there. So, East Africa was some Indian companies, so they have two like really fantastic people, huge programs. West Africa is still struggling because all Africans. We had a GBC meeting and East and South Africans came, they couldn't believe it. Because they're all Indians and they couldn't believe it, there's so many African Indians. Because there's a lot of prejudice. I thought they couldn't believe it. Everybody can be wrong. So, as far as, that's, I couldn't like offhand just remember a lot of detailed things, but it's mostly just walk together, chant, share the pastimes. Those are the most closest times. In the GBC meetings, it's all not much inside the meeting, but we can observe. He was always very, very attentive. He was the chairman of the Indian Bureau for many years, which is not another easy thing. But he could keep everything, he was very sober and, understanding. But when I think about it, it used to be like, kind of like, Gopal, no problem, Gopal. It was because he had unlimited faith in Prabhupada. He didn't see it as a problem as much as some of us storms. Because there's always little storms, and like we just said, trees brush against each other and the fight is start. So between human beings, there's always something in conflict. But they're not permanent, and he understood that. So you're all very fortunate to have had his association, and yes, very much. It's time goes on, and now like Vrindavan, Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Parvati, all the symbols of Vrindavan are disappearing. Krishna Balaram is still there. The samadhis are there. And we take shelter in the memories.
Maharaj, God brother, how was Guru Maharaj in dealing, especially with his God brothers?
No, he was always completely loving and, caring, treating you like special guests. He always treat everybody like some kind of very special guest. At least me, and I heard others say also. That's my experience. He always, never trying to tell you what to do. I mean, sometimes he'd say like, "Why don't you have a temple in Thailand?" So, well, come and try, It's not India, but we do have temples now. But he was just always like very, treating everybody like special guests. I was very concerned about it. Whatever you need, just take it.
What are the qualities, because you have been also in a managerial position as temple president, so what are the qualities which maybe future leaders or present leaders can learn from Maharaj? Maybe if you could say 1, 2, 3, that these characteristics made Maharaj so successful in leading so many people so loving.
Yeah, well, he was very saintly. He had the intense love for Prabhupada and faith in Krishna, faith in the GBC, because he knew Prabhupada arranged the GBC. So even though he witnessed all the so-called mistakes the GBC made, but he had complete faith. He put that in his will for the disciple. And loyal to the GBC, followed that. But the service attitude, nothing ever slowed him down. And that's what we need, all of us. Prabhupada had that, he didn't ask for any special favors, or just asked for service. So, we all have to follow, and we need to, we can get from yours, at least, I read all the books in people's books about Prabhupada. That last one, I'll build a temple, is the most intimate, in my experience, of being with Prabhupada. You're right, Swami had a very special relationship with Prabhupada, like a youngest son or something. He never challenged Prabhupada or doubted or, said, Prabhupada, I think we should do this or that. He always was and then also Gopal Krishna Maharaj is very prominent in that whole story. Because when he came in as GBC in India, Prabhupada specifically asked him to come. And so he was very instrumental in meeting the right people and getting through them, getting them to give these permits. Some of them, like I went with Gary, finally went to Indochina for about many permits. We had been running around every day, back and forth and back. No, it must be over there, it must be there. And we could only get to one place a day, because we go to the first one and then it was on the other side of the one day. And then he told Indochina, and he said, did you bribe them? No, we don't. So you have to bribe them. So we laughed. And then he called the architect and talked in Hindi for a few minutes and said, can you give him 200 rupees? So we went and gave him 200 rupees, and the next day we got him. So Gopal Krishna was on higher level, especially as the temples were opening and we didn't get many other things. And like I said, I rode with him in the car many times, back and forth to Delhi for Rath Yatras, and then to Guru. He was on the phone, always getting calls and always managing very quick decisions and getting things done. What else I'm always doing on the earth, always giving class. So, I didn't hear his classes very much because he was just giving Hindi. That service attitude, that's Prabhupada stresses. I gave a seminar once and I counted how many times he used the word service attitude in the universe. It's like 400 or 500. Just service attitude. But then the more you read it, attitude of service, in many different ways they said the same thing. And he said, just by that, you'll get all the Indochina. And you see that idea of never saying no to come to that. Just taking on any task, and bigger tasks. There's vision for Delhi, for so many other temples. Bombay was numbers 3 or 4 temples. Delhi really took off with all these temples.
And maybe your last memory with Guru Maharaj, if you remember.
Well, the last time I visited him in Delhi, he might have just come back up from the hospital. He was the same way, like, he couldn't even talk. So it took 2 people for him to stand up. But then he got better, he came into the GBC meetings. But the last times he couldn't attend every meeting in the GBC, but he wanted to. He never wanted to. Like probably someone died fighting, he didn't want to quit. That was the last time I was actually with him. But he was just the same way. He was mainly concerned about did they do the moon, did they do food, did they do... I was just trying to think of it. I didn't want him to have to try to stand up or anything, but he wanted to. He did, but at that time he was really shaky. But he got a little stronger. But who knows why Krishna does this thing with different people. Someone who traveled so extensively, took so much responsibility for so many years. And he would quit. It's for all of us. We want to carry on what he got started and make it even better. So far I see all the temples and what I saw in Delhi, everything's going. I'm not dug into everything, but we definitely got the right people and taking care of them everywhere. And I was listening to a class by Guru Maharaj. He was saying, Gopal Krishna Maharaj's glories are going to go on and on and on, more and more. As time goes on, people realize more and more. But like you said, if you want to know about the person, everyone has many stories, but he was very, childlike, if you're with him. He was never, thought himself, he always thought himself, humbler than the blade of grass and more tolerant than the tree or something. Because he never asked for anything. That's what I first admired him when I first saw him. I said in Bombay, he was never asking for anything. And then he had to pick up so many things as that temple had gone on. He wasn't there from the very beginning. They had never made any reports to the charity commission or anything. He had to organize all that. He had other things where he had big blunders that other devotees had made, and he had to work it all out. And he had worked it out mainly by having such good relationships with government, which is not easily done. And we saw how within a few hours of his departure, they had letters from Modi, they had letters from many chief ministers, presidents, they had a letter from the chief leader of all the Sri Sampradaya. And there are devotees that are from, were brought up in Iskcon is Sri Sampradaya doesn't like, and it wasn't true at all. The guy was glorifying Gopal Krishna Maharaj was like the most single person in the world. So that's real evidence. I wasn't there that first day. They said until midnight, there was just a huge flood of people just to get the last darshan. All those things just show what kind of influence he had. But, it was all just because of the same character. It didn't bribe anybody. He said, I didn't have any money, I didn't bribe anybody. It just came out of love. So, I hope I can pick up a little bit on it. Get something done in West Africa. It was a nice gift to me. Because it was a big loss at the time. The whole world was actually right after Prakrimas. And we didn't know what to do. Everyone's like, okay, great, we'll just, life goes on, but we didn't really think about ramifications until later. But somehow or other out here, great people like Gopal Krishna carried a torch. So he had something like 55,000 between Russia and India, second to Jakarta.
Yes.
Alright, so I wish I could have had more. So I didn't do any working with our projects. It was all just friendly. But he was always encouraging me, like another brother.
Do you have any instructions for the disciples or
Well,
people who
he
are
gave-
inspiring?
I saw in Chicken one of the 10 instructions, and
Yes.
those are there. But I think we should just focus on those.
On the 10 instructions. you
Yeah,
should-
those 10 instructions, they're unlimited, they expand. I mean, even covered, like, if any of you, and some of it I guess are, becoming gurus, work with the GBC, stress that in 2 of those. Stick loyal and stick with the GBC. Like the Charmers was the same way. So, it's important. Because Prabhupada made the GBC to keep it going. And the members are going to change, and nothing's ever perfect. Like the scholars, when they write about Prabhupada, they go, he made this mistake, he made that mistake. Because they don't understand. He changed his mind about this and that. And it's constantly.
Anything else would you like to share?
No, I can't think of everything. So.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Indeed,
Thank you very much.
it is very loving to hear so loving pastimes and your realizations with Maharaj.
Yeah.
On behalf of everyone, I seek your blessings at the dust of your lotus feet, how you have been serving Srila Prabhupada and Iskcon so tirelessly. May we all become an humble instrument in hands of your
I haven't been
Vaishnavas.
doing much.
Please bless us all so that we all may also continue to serve Srila Prabhupada.
I think everybody will. It's the best thing. There's nothing else to do. When you really think about it.
And
What would you do without, Maharaj or this kind? Okay?
thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, His Holiness Kavi Chandra Swami Maharaj ki
Gopal Krishna
jai.
Goswami
His
Maharaj
Holiness Gopal Krishna
jai.
Goswami Maharaj
Go our
ki
Prakrimas and Rath
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.